again, boys and girls. Do you know what time it is? It's time to practice some time. Okay, let's review the parts of this clock. This type of clock is called an analog clock. Very good. Okay, this part of the clock is called the face. Very good. These two arrows are called the hands. Very good. Okay, the numbers go from 1 to 12, and those help us with the hour and the minutes. Very good. Okay, when telling time, when reading the clock, which hand should you look at first? The long hand or the short hand? Right, the short hand. Why? Right, that is the hour hand. The hour is important to know. Even if you can't understand the minutes, it's always good to know the hour in the day. Good. So if this is the hour hand, the long hand is called the minute hand. Very good. And who does all the work? Or not all the work, but a lot of the work. Right, the minute hand, because the hour hand cannot go to the next hour until the minute hand has traveled all the way around the clock. Okay, so we're going to practice more, and we're going to use the story, The Grouchy Ladybug, again. So you should have your clock, your dry erase marker, and an eraser so that you can write the time down here. Okay, so you remember what time the story started? The sun came up, so I'll put the pictures in. The sun came up, and a ladybug flew in to a leaf and met another ladybug. What time did that happen? Do you remember? It was when the sun came up, so it's a.m., right? That's right, because that's going to be part of your assignment today, too. Okay, 5 o'clock a.m., 5 o'clock in the morning. So let's set our clocks to 5 o'clock. So our hour hand should be pointing to the 5, and our minute hand should be pointing to the top of the clock because it's saying o'clock. The top of the hour, 5 o'clock. Now we'll go down here and write 5. I think I should use black. O'clock. You write it on yours. So that's 5 o'clock a.m. Okay. Then, you got that? Erase. And let's do 6 o'clock. So, make your minute hand travel all the way around to the top of the clock. And now the hour hand can go to the next hour. At 6 o'clock a.m., he ran into a beetle. I'm sorry, a yellow jacket. Right? And that grouchy ladybug said, "Do you want to fight?" And he says, "If you insist." And he said, "Oh, you're not big enough for me." So he went on. Okay. Did you write 6 o'clock? Okay. Minute hand going around. So the hour hand can now go to 7 o'clock a.m. Right? 7 o'clock. That's a.m. Okay. At 7 o'clock a.m., the grouchy ladybug came upon a stag beetle, and he said, "Do you want to fight?" And the beetle said, "If you insist." And the grouchy ladybug said, "Oh, you're not big enough for me." Okay, erase your time. Get your minute hand ready to do the legwork, traveling all the way around the clock, back to the top. We can go to the next hour. It is now 8 o'clock a.m. At 8 o'clock a.m., what did he run into? A praying mantis. Very cool bug. Very good for the garden. I actually just ordered some. They will be larvae, and then they're going to grow into praying mantis, and I'll put them in my garden to help eat the bad bugs that want to eat my vegetables. Okay, 8 o'clock. He ran into a praying mantis, right? 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. And he said, "Do you want to fight?" And the praying mantis says, "If you insist." And the grouchy ladybug said, "You're not big enough for me." All right, get your minute hand ready to do the legwork. Roll all the way around, and our hour is now 9. So it's 9 o'clock. Still a.m. At 9 o'clock a.m., he ran into a sparrow, a bird. And he said, do you want to fight? And the bird said, if you insist. And the grouchy ladybug said, oh, well, you're 9 o'clock. You're not big enough anyway. So he flew on. Okay, erase your 9 o'clock. Get your minute hand traveling. Can't go to the next hour until he goes all the way around the clock. And now it is 10 o'clock. Still a.m. At 10 o'clock a.m., he ran into a lobster and he said, do you want to fight? And the lobster opens his claws. He says, if you insist. And the ladybug decided, you're not big enough for me anyway. Did you write 10 o'clock? I didn't. 10 o'clock. Okay. Erase. Okay. Get your minute hand ready to do the leg work. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Now it's 10, 30. Remember, anytime the minute hand's pointing to the bottom, it's 30. 30 minutes past 10. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60 minutes is 1 hour. We're at the next hour. It is now 11 o'clock. Still a.m. At 11 o'clock a.m., he ran into a skunk. And he said, do you want to fight? And when the skunk lifted his tail to spray, the ladybug decided he wasn't big enough to fight either. Okay, got that? Erase. Okay, let's get the minute hand traveling so we can go to the next hour. 11, 11:05, 11:10, 11:15, 11:20, 11:25, 11:30, pointing at the bottom. 11:35, 11:40, 11:45, 11:50, 11:55, and what time is it now? What time is it now? Right, both hands are pointing up, so it's 12 o'clock, which means we now go to p.m., 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's when the grouchy ladybug came across a boa constrictor and said, do you want to fight? And he said, if you insist. And the ladybug said, well, you're not big enough for me anyway. Okay, erase your time. Now we're in the p.m. zone. If I put this here, can you still see it? Can you see that one? Okay, so now we have our PMs over here. Okay. Ready? 12 o'clock. Get your minute hand going. 5, 10, stay there. 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, and now it is the new hour, 1 o'clock. So at 1 o'clock p.m., the grouchy ladybug ran into a, you remember? Hyena. And he laughed when he said, you want to fight? But then the ladybug said, you're not big enough anyway. So 1 o'clock p.m., that's 1 o'clock in the afternoon now. Okay, erase. Get your minute hand ready. Time's it now? 1:30. 30 minutes. Halfway around the clock is 30 minutes past. So it's 1. Always look at the hour hand first. 1:30. All right. 1:35, 1:40, 1:45, 1:50, 1:55, and new hour. It is 2 o'clock p.m. That's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. At 2 o'clock, he ran into a gorilla. And he said, do you want to fight? And the gorilla said, if you insist. And the grouchy ladybug said, but you're not big enough. I don't know, gorillas are pretty big. He is a grouchy ladybug. Okay, erase your time. Okay, we're going to go to the next hour. Bring your minute hand all the way around. And now, what is the hour? 3 o'clock. right? 3 o'clock. At 3 o'clock, a grouchy ladybug ran into a rhinoceros and said, "Do you want to fight?" And when he put down his horn, the grouchy ladybug pretty much chickened out, really, and said, "Well, you're not big enough anyway," right? So he flew on. He flew on for an hour. How many minutes in an hour? Let's count them up again. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. Now it's the next hour. What time is it? 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the grouchy ladybug came across an elephant. And he said, "Do you want to fight?" And the elephant raised his trunk and showed his big tusks and said, "If you insist." And the grouchy ladybug said, "You're not big enough anyway." So he flew on. He flew on for another hour, 60 minutes. Okay, send your minute hand traveling around and around and around, around and around to the top of the clock again. And now it is a new hour. It is 5 o'clock. And at 5 o'clock p.m., in the early evening now, he came across a whale. And he asked the whale, "Do you want to fight?" Did the whale answer? No. So then he flew on for 15 minutes. So he went 5, 10, 15. At 5:15, so the minutes for this would be 5:15, he came to his fin. And he said, "Do you want to fight?" And it didn't answer. So he flew on a little more, 15 more minutes. And now it's 5:30 to the other fin. And he said, "Do you want to fight?" And it didn't answer. So then he flew on. We went all the way back to the top of the clock. Oopsie. And the whale, actually at 5:45, there we go, 5:45. Still the hour is 5. So it would be kind of close to the 6 because it's almost a new hour. It's not pointing right at the 5. That's where it gets tricky when it's between the two. But the hour is still 5 because it's not all the way on the 6 yet. But the minute hand is almost to the top, so the hour hand is almost to the 6. And then the whale, he went to the whale's tail. The whale's tail whacked him, and he went flying across the ocean and across the sea and the land. And at 6 o'clock, he was right back where he started with the very nice, polite ladybug. And he was tired and he was hungry. And the very polite ladybug said, "You can finish them." And the grouchy ladybug said, "Thank you." So he realized he was being very grouchy. Okay, so what you're going to do with time and this today is, yesterday you cut and pasted the pictures in order. Today you are going to write AM and PM. Okay, look, let me show you the first one. Okay. I put the time on the first clock for you. It started at 5 o'clock. I wrote AM. Okay, you are going to write 5 o'clock like this, like you've been writing it on the board. So at 5 o'clock a.m., the sun came up and the ladybug met another ladybug. I drew a little ladybug. Okay, then you're going to go to the next one and write the next time at 6 o'clock and draw the hands on the clock. Remember, the short hand, the hour hand, should be pointing to the 6. They should not be the same size. And it's still AM, so you're going to write AM. And then at 7 o'clock, and write the hands on the clock, and write it like this. At 7 o'clock, he ran into the beetle. Okay, and then at 8 o'clock, and then you're still writing AM. When you get to PM, so you can retell this story to somebody in your house, and you can use your clock to help you. And then when it turns to PM, when he meets the boa constrictor, noon, 12 o'clock PM in the afternoon. I wrote PM, so that means the rest of them are going to be what? Right, PMs, okay? So you're going to recall, I started you with the first one, and they will go in order. starting at 5 a.m., then 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., until you get to 12 o'clock with the boa constrictor. It will be p.m. in the afternoon. Then 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., and you will finish with, actually you're going to finish with 5 p.m. The paper doesn't have him where he goes back to the leaf. Okay, so you're going to do this, and you're going to finish 3 pages in the chapter on time, okay? All right, boys and girls, I'll see you in a little while for religion.